Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dr. Blake Beltran here. Today, I want to talk to you about theater screens. There's a lot to know. We'll see if we can do it really quickly. I'll give you the highlights that I love to give all of my customers when they're shopping for their new theater room project, or even if they're going to put a theater screen or some type of front projection screen in a game room. So the first thing I like to always tell my customers is that all of the noise out there, it really boils down to three different types of projector screens. They come in either white, gray, or black. Really simple. And it doesn't matter what manufacturer you go to, doesn't matter what series, and everybody has different names. You've got like Starlight, you've got like Cinema Gray, depends on who you're talking to, what manufacturer you're dealing with. But at the end of the day, it boils down to either it's white, gray, or black. Now, your white screens are going to be awesome. In my opinion, they are the truest when it comes to theater or cinema grade quality. But what they are bad at is rejecting ambient light. So if you've got rooms with a lot of windows, you definitely don't want a white screen. Your gray screens are going to be good for game rooms or even controlled lighting theater rooms where you can kind of diffuse that ambient light coming in with drapes or window coverings. They're a little more expensive, but they do have great ambient light rejecting qualities in your gray screens. And of course, the best ones like we have in our theater room here are going to be your black screens. They're going to obviously give you a black finish on the screen, enhancing that contrast. But what they're going to be really phenomenal at is rejecting that ambient light. And that's why they're called ALR screens. Ambient light rejecting is typically going to be found in all of your black theater screens. So I'll always open up with, what are you going to do in your room, right? You need to know what the use of the room is. So are you in a game room? Are you in a dedicated theater room? Are you in a family room where you're going to have a motorized screen coming down and it's kind of a dual purpose room? Is it a game room where there's a pool table maybe in the room and it's going to be maybe used for entertainment, watching football games? You're going to have the guys over. Or are you going to have a dedicated theater space, but you're going to also entertain in that space? Meaning you're going to have popcorn. You're going to have people over for the Friday movie night. You're going to have people coming over for game nights. All of these factors matter. And the reason they matter is because the type of screen you choose is going to depend on the lighting situation as well as how you're using the room. If you're going to have a dedicated theater space, meaning no ambient light in the room, you don't see yourself having, a ball game where people are going to be in the room eating and kind of getting up and leaving the room, white screens are always best because they're economical and they give you that great contrast for a great price. Now, I love gray screens in theater screen areas such as family rooms, dedicated game rooms, theater rooms. The reason is it gives you the best of both worlds. So gray screens typically have ambient light rejecting qualities, meaning they can filter out or they can diffuse the ambient light coming from windows or the overhead lights in the room or even the door that pops open. What are the times or when is it going to be best used to get a gray screen? So if you've got a dedicated theater room, but you're still going to have people over for maybe game night in regards to like football, basketball, soccer, whatever's going on, and people are going to be getting up and leaving the room maybe to go get food or snacks and then returning back to the room, and it's going to be often, you want to make sure that you have a gray screen because you're going to want some ambient light in the room. You don't want to be in pitch black when you're doing that type of entertainment scenario. You don't want people tripping over each other when they're bringing the hot wings over or they got the chips and dip. And so having a theater screen that has that ambient light rejecting quality like a gray screen really helps you when you're using the room for that purpose. So we've highlighted white and gray screens. And today we're going to talk about the third screen type, which are black screens. And there's a ton of different manufacturers that have black screens. But at the end of the day, why do you buy a black screen? The main purpose for spending thousands of dollars on a black theater screen is for its ALR qualities, ambient light rejecting. What that means is that you can have the lights fully on in a room, or you can have windows that don't have blinds or drapes covering or darkening that room and still get a great, phenomenal picture quality. So you see here in our theater room, we do have an ambient light rejecting screen. This is a black screen that we have by Screen Innovations. The reason we have this screen is because we like to show off not only great contrast, but also the ability to turn the movie on, watch the movie with full ambient light in the room. So different from your gray screens where you can have partial light in the room, maybe a door is open, maybe some small ambient lighting. With a black screen, you're going to use those for your game rooms, your living rooms that are going to be dual purpose for theater room night or for movie night, or even if you do have a dedicated theater room, a room where you're going to be entertaining a lot. Unlike white screens, where I've recommended that you only use a white screen if it's a dedicated theater space. Like my house, you come in the theater only to watch a movie. There's no getting up, in the middle of the movie. Once the doors closed, we're watching the movie all the way through. Unless, of course, my daughters have to go to the restroom or something. But other than that, it is a dedicated theater space. So white screen's great. But for all those people that want to entertain in the space, you want that ambient light rejecting quality. But not to mention, you want that awesome contrast for that black screen. A lot of people ask, hey, Blake, I understand that the black screen is going to give me that ALR quality, ambient light rejecting quality that I want. Because I want to control the ambient lighting in the room. Maybe I've got drapes or I've got windows that don't have blinds, or maybe they're motorized blinds and we want them open and we're going to entertain in the space. But what if I just want the best picture quality? How is that going to differentiate from a white screen to a black screen? Is it worth the extra $2,000? The answer, simply put, is yes. So not only do black screens have great ambient light rejecting qualities, they also enhance the contrast. So if you know anything about contrast, contrast is the spectrum of how black an image can be. Well, if you have a white image or a white screen, it's very hard to get true black, which is why your TVs typically have really, really great contrast, especially your LEDs that can cut off those light emitting diodes individualized on each pixel. On a black projector screen with that light shining and bouncing off that screen, the blacks are blacker because of the material and because it can show truer blacks than a white screen can. So to answer the question simply, should I spend the extra money on a black theater screen if I'm only focused on the best picture quality and ambient light rejecting is not an issue for me? The answer is yes. The extra money is definitely worth it to get that awesome contrast for that great theater or cinema experience you're looking for.